A lovely morning to you, and thank you very much for being with us on UBC TV. I know it's cold wherever you are, but my best advice to you is get a cup of coffee. Uganda-made coffee as the best solution for this cold weather as you're watching UBC TV. So if you're feeling very cold, put on a coat, wear socks, be warm, and just take a cup of coffee. That is enough as you watch UBC TV. You'll feel warm, I must say. Now, this morning, I'm going to be discussing with my guest a very important topic, that is advancing access to justice at the national level. Now, in Uganda, we know that justice, most of the times, is hard to come by for the poor. Because getting a person like my guest in studios today, an advocate, is not for everybody. Much as there's pro bono, but anyone would want to be represented by a lawyer, and not everyone can afford that. But even how do we access it? Well, with me, I have Isiko Arthur, who is the treasurer, Uganda Law Society, with me in studios, and of course a lawyer, because you can't be a member of that society when you're not a lawyer or even an advocate at some level. Now, join me welcome my guest. Arthur, good morning.
Thank you so much. Good morning, Ugandans. My name, as clearly said, is Isiko Arthur, the treasurer, Uganda Law Society. I send greetings from the president of Uganda Law Society and the entire council, executive council of the Uganda Law Society. For those who are out there, you may not know Uganda Law Society. Uganda Law Society is an organization or an association of lawyers in the entire country. And we are there by an act of parliament. Unlike other associations which are there because of probably free will. Yeah, for us we are there by an act of parliament. And one of the rules that provide for the establishment of the society is to ensure that we provide advice to the government. We provide advice to the society. And that brings me to the most important topic of access to justice. Access to justice comes in because the society feels it very important to ensure that the ordinary person can be able to actually get access to a lawyer, get access to legal information. You see, sometimes people talk about access to justice, and the picture that comes in someone's mind is getting a lawyer. But sometimes it goes beyond actually getting a lawyer. Getting that free legal advice is also part of access to justice. Being able to actually access the courts of law is actually also access to justice. And also, on top of that, being able to get a fair trial, a speedy trial, all those are components of access to justice. And as the Uganda Law Society, we always fight and ensure that each Ugandan out there is able to actually access justice freely. Of course, there's always been that impression that a poor person will be unable to actually access justice. Can a poor person out there be able to access justice? Can someone down there in the village be able to access justice? Of course, we do realize those concerns because we do understand that advocates, especially in Kampala, charge a fee to be able to access their services.
Not
and
only
also,
a fee,
yes,
charge quite huge sums of money.
Yes, that of course is dependent on the lawyer, but there is a fee. That fee might be minimal to someone in Kampala, but of course very expensive to someone who is out there deep in the village. And then we also realize that here in Kampala, if you move around, just a few meters away from here, you'll be able to find Buganda Road Magistrates Court, Nakawa. Yeah, the courts are nearby. Yeah, but when you go to the village, you might find an entire district has like one court, and probably someone is far away from that court, and probably they have a dispute. You have seen quite a number of people having disputes, land disputes, family disputes. Yeah, so those are people that, as Uganda Law Society, we are trying to target and also reach out to, and that is where we even come out and ask government that we do realize, especially through our Chief Justice, we do realize, especially in the urban centers, we are doing quite well when it comes to being able to access court systems. but down there in the villages, we are advocating for reforms that can actually ensure that even someone deep down there in the village can access the courts of law.
Like which reforms?
Of course, the reforms we are talking about is one, having statutes. We do have statutes in a few courts, especially those which are in the urban centers. For example, you'll find that Jinja has sometimes a criminal statute. You see, civil matters are heard on a daily basis. When you go to these normal courts, you'll find civil matters are heard on a daily basis. But when you go to the villages down there, you realize that there are even specific days for criminal matters. Meaning in a week you might have 2 days when criminal matters are being heard. And that is for the ordinary matters which are in the lower courts. But then when you find matters which are triable by the High Court, capital offenses, I'm talking about capital offenses, you'll find that in some of those courts, you have to wait for a certain session to be put in place. By a session, I mean the judicial officers agree and say that in the month of February or the second week of February, to be particular, we shall be handling all those matters in that area. So what happens to the people in between before the session is put in place? If such a person is being remanded, that means that person will have to keep staying in remand until that session is held. So that is where, as Uganda society, we come out and say, we need access to justice for such people. Because one, it curtails on liberty. By liberty, I mean, you see the law says that you are not, you are still innocent until courts prove you guilty. Yeah, the Ugandan out there, you should understand that even when you are called to police to make a statement, deep down in your heart, you should know that I am innocent until probably someone brings evidence to prove me guilty. And the same thing we also tell our stakeholders, the other agencies of government like security, that even when you are interrogating, when you are doing investigations, you should have it at the back of your mind that this person, the constitutional provision says that this person is still innocent until there is that information that actually pins the person and there is sufficient information that can actually make the ordinary person or the courts of law make a sentence that this person is guilty. So when I talk about access to justice, I was talking about that issue of liberty. That sometimes when that liberty is curtailed, that constitutional provision of innocency sometimes faces a challenge. Yeah, the ordinary person will be, but you see the challenge is when we file matters in court, they take a very, very long time. Yes,
case backlog.
Yes, case backlog. Yes, in fact, as we speak right now, we have a minimum of 56,000 cases, criminal, in the entire country.
Now, those if they never got bail.
Yeah, and of course, the percentage of those on remand is alarming. Because why is it alarming? That the prison system is supposed to hold a maximum of 22,000 inmates throughout the entire country. So the challenge is that you find that even the people who are on remand and those who are incarcerated are even beyond the number.
It is times 3 now.
For those who have been sentenced, it is okay. Yeah, but those who are on remand, one, they dwindle the space for probably those who are supposed to be there whose sentence has been actually declared by the courts of law. But those who are on remand, yeah, who are supposed probably to be out on bail.
Yes.
Of course, the stringent terms, and that is where we implored recently when we are having a court open day in Lugazi. We implored the Chief Justice that there should be a review, yeah, on the bail guidelines that were made in 2022. Yeah, the terms are a bit stringent.
Yes.
Yeah, they're a bit stringent, and sometimes it becomes impractically impossible. You see, when we come out to advocate, we are looking at the lower person. Yeah, someone who has the resources might be able to actually fulfill those requirements. But the challenge is to the ordinary person. Why do we say that? That you realize that when probably you're taken to a court of law, especially for criminal matters, We are saying the court should pronounce itself on whether you're supposed to be given bail that very day. Worst case scenario, it shouldn't exceed the 15 days because especially for matters in the, if you look at the criminal act, it clearly provides that at least between the time you are taken to courts of law and the time you are remanded, it shouldn't exceed 15 days. Yeah? If you're taken to courts of law and the charge is read for you, let's say malicious damage to property, and you plead I'm not guilty. If you are remanded, the period shouldn't exceed 15 days. 15 days. One, the challenge is that sometimes some judicial officers exceed that time.
Yes, many do.
Yeah, they exceed that time, and that is where we implore the Chief Justice and the judicial officers that at least let's try to operate within those timelines. Yeah, worst case scenario, operate within the 15 days. And within the 15 days, we do believe that the prosecutors are the lawyers of government who prosecute those criminal cases. We do believe that they should be able to do any investigation concerning probably the sureties, because remember, when you are to be given bail, you need to probably avail sureties who shall be able to probably remind you that, gentleman or lady, your matter is coming up on this day, ensure that you do attend on that day. Yes, so we do believe that even the state, the DPP, should be able to do their investigation within that time. And after the 15 days, court should be able to pronounce itself on whether you are entitled to bail or not. Yeah. So by doing so, that will reduce on the other number I was telling you about, the numbers which are in incarceration. Yeah. If you spare time and you go to the prison areas, you do realize that the numbers are huge. The conditions need to be also improved. So when you reduce those numbers, automatically the resources will be available to those who are there. So the more the numbers, the lower the resources. So that is where, as Uganda Law Society, we are really imploring.
What will that mean to the public perception of justice? Because after today, bond and bail to the ordinary person, most of the times, I don't want to rule that sometimes there's corruption, but they view it as corruption. When someone reports a matter to police and the suspect is arrested, then after 48 hours, sometimes even before the 48 hours elapse, this person is seen back in the community. Many believe justice is not served because a few Ugandans understand that even when you're out of prison or when you're out of police cells on bond or here on bail, it doesn't mean that case has come to an end. But they'll see it like, oh God, we've just taken in someone and the money is back now for bond if we make it that want people.
Of course, it all goes back
and
to
want
awareness.
to even let people who can jeopardize investigations and affect the ruling as well.
Yes, in fact, what you have said is real. It is real. I've also had it among some of my clients, and I've also had it among members of the public, that someone, after a few days, you see someone is out. Yet it took you mega resources. You know those people who it takes you mega resources to, you have to track someone. You have tracked someone for 2 years. It's evasive. Yeah, you are unable to find. Then you get him, then all of a sudden, someone has to be released after 48 hours. But of course, that is the law. Yeah, and that is why, as Uganda Law Society, we say there should be rule of law. Because once the law rules, there is certainty. And there is order. There is order in society. So when you talk about the 48 hours rules, that's what the Constitution says, unfortunately. We do realize those challenges, even us as lawyers, we face them. The public has been able to raise them. But we as lawyers, we have to continue making awareness to the general public to understand that that's the law. That is the law. You know, initially there was even that perception among, if I talk about family issues, that a heir, people down there in the village think a heir is supposed to be the owner. If your parent passes on, the heir assumes that, since I've been customarily elected as the heir, all the property now belongs to me. Yeah, for the deceased. That is wrong. We understand probably that is the perception you have in the community, but it doesn't take away the fact that the law says otherwise, that you have to go and to the courts of law and get an administrator. Yeah, choose amongst yourselves, go to administrator general, and the people are nominated as what? As administrators. So the same thing applies with the issue of bail and bond. Yeah, bond is for police. When you're arrested, the police officers who are out there, if you arrest someone, you are at liberty to keep that person for 48 hours. But beyond 48 hours, now you are in breach of the very law that you're supposed to maintain and protect. After 48 hours, if you still want to do investigations, it doesn't stop you from taking that person to courts of law, because investigations can even be done when the matter is at the court level. You have had cases where a matter is brought in court and the state says we are still doing investigation. So that is an open door for the security agencies. And bond is free. Bond is free. Out members of the public, bond is free. You don't have to pay any money to get bond. And of course, you also have to fulfill the requirements. Don't just go and say, since it is free, you give it to me and I go away the 48 hours. Need to bring sureties. Need to bring sureties. These are people who, like I've told you, surety is someone who reminds you. Is it also at the discretion
of a police officer? For example, like bail.
Yes.
For it, the sitting or presiding judge has so many powers on determining whether, if he finds it befitting that you'll appear, you won't, but he can deny you.
Yes.
But police bond, does it also give the officer jurisdiction?
Within the 48 hours, the police officer has the discretion to release you on bond or not, to use his discretion to verify, are these substantial sureties? Are you going to bring a minor as a surety for you to be given a bond? Yeah, you should be able to bring someone who is in a capacity to remind you and also understand the obligation that is entering into. You don't just bring someone who doesn't even know why he's a surety. So within the 48 hours, it is entirely upon the police officer to weigh and see, okay, this person, I can give him bond or not. But after that, the law closes the door to the police officer. He has only one obligation now, to either forward you to a court of law or
release you.
To release you. There is no other option. There are only two options in those scenarios. But
take to court or release.
Take to court or release.
Now, Arthur, when we talk about access to justice at national level, this brings me also to look into the cost of justice.
Yes.
Arthur, day by day, justice is becoming expensive.
Yes.
As Uganda Law Society, what are you doing to ensure that also the poor? When I was growing up, we had a saying that Owembuzita was an awante. Meaning, if for you you're rearing goats, I'm rearing cows. You know, we can't go before the law. It doesn't match. But in reality, I've come to see that this, in a number of incidents, say in land, I've seen how the poor have been deprived of their land. That where these big estates are sitting today, if you go back and investigate, fellow viewer, a person watching us this morning, you bought land in these land agencies, you have find out where that land on which you built that mansion of yours. Do you know how many people cried when their land was being taken from them? You came and purchased that land. But if you, even some could have lost lives on that land where you have your mansion. Very absurd. But because they didn't have the means to fight and protect what is theirs before the courts of law.
Yes. Yeah, what you're saying is indeed true. You have given a very, the perception, you have summarized it down in that poetic statement that the owner of a goat can't argue with the owner of a cow. Yeah, even in our present-day life, though we don't relate probably to cows and goats these days, but there is that perception. A poor man might not be able to get justice. But that is also a perception. That is a perception, which as the Uganda Law Society, our mandate, statutory mandate is to ensure that we remove that perception yeah, from the general members of the public. And that is why as a society we have at least we are, as Uganda Law Society, an association of lawyers. We provide pro bono services. Yeah, as a Uganda Law Society, we, through our partners, through our members, yeah, we provide free legal services in all parts of the country.
Now, how does one access that pro bono, those pro bono services? I have a case in court.
Yes.
I don't have capacity to get a lawyer.
Yes.
So how do I be able to benefit from pro bono?
Yes, our offices are all over the country. Yeah, our head offices are here in Kampala, but we have offices in Jinja. You know all those major towns. Yeah, we have our offices there. Yeah, it is a matter of reaching out. Yeah, for those who have access to phones, you can easily reach out on our website. You can easily find the location, and also our telephone numbers are there. And we also have lawyers. So whenever you see a lawyer, he's an ambassador of the Uganda Law Society. Yeah, that lawyer can be able to direct you to the nearest office. And even that lawyer that you see there can give free legal services. Of course, we have come up with a policy that at least every year, a lawyer at least should give a minimum of 2 pro bono cases, a minimum. We have approximately 8,000 lawyers. Yeah, so you can do the math and you see how many cases we handle. And in fact, some of those cases we have handled them without taking those cases to courts of law. And that takes us to the reforms you're talking about. Yeah, the reforms, of course, through the former Chief Justice, Winnie Dolo, he really encouraged people to go for that alternative dispute resolution. Yeah, when I was in the Karamojong region, they even have their own system. Yeah, and in fact, we are coming up with some sort of conference where we want to even bring in other stakeholders like the judiciary to give it a blessing. Yeah, these are matters which can be handled. It's like more of it's like more of a local court setup. Yeah, it's just a matter of empowering these persons who are in those courts so that they can be able to administer justice. You see what happened in the military courts of law? Yeah, ordinarily, some of the judicial officers didn't have that legal knowledge. Yeah, we are happy, though there are some challenges with the law, that one of the requirements of those people who are supposed to handle matters in military courts of law, it is now mandatory. It is mandatory that person should have legal training. So by having legal training, that means that person at least will have the minimum standards. Yeah, he will be able to know that this is what the law says. These are the rights of such a person. Yeah, and in one way or another, I can assure you, there will be, you will see the justice that will be delivered. It will be quite different. Yes. Yeah, because these are our brothers. We went with them to the same school. Yeah, we have been seeing the challenges. So they will be able to administer justice. So the same thing with the alternative dispute resolution, the local courts. Yeah, we are going to continue doing, at least the Uganda Law Society, the judiciary is also doing its part to ensure that even at the local court level, yeah, the people who are, at least they are at a paralegal level. Paralegal, that means at least you have that legal knowledge. Yeah, you are able to handle, though the matters are still petty and small, but at the end of the day, yeah, you are able to administer justice. And we're also trying to embrace and bring in technology. At one point, we thank this broadcasting station that we had the Tech Fest Festival, Digital Tech Fest Festival, yeah, where we, even as lawyers, we are encouraging ourselves to embrace technology. Yeah, the judiciary is creating systems that can enable us digitally transform, but we are also embracing the same path. And
ICMIS is doing very well in that.
Yes, I can be seated there as I'm waiting to be hosted. I'm filing a case. Can file it in the night.
Arthur, I'm sure we can talk until the cows come home, but let me just give you a minute for your parting shot.
Yes. My parting shots, first of all, I want to thank all the Ugandans out there. One, for being peace-loving and at least trying to follow the law. To the stakeholders out there, my say is that access to justice is one of the pillars of democracy. When you talk about democracy, free will, access to justice by that person is one of the pillars. And I encourage all the Ugandans out there to reach out and ensure that at least the ordinary person, one, can get that awareness. And two, if matters go to courts of law, there is SPD and just trial. Yes, I remain Isikwata. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much for your time. And of course, our viewer, when you talk about access to justice, everyone needs justice. You may go to the courts or before courts, but we should ensure that people access justice, most when it comes to national level. Don't forget, pro bono services are available by the Uganda Law Society. Reach out to them. See you in the next hour. Let's go for this short break.
Of the day on UBC.
He expected me to die like within the first 2 years.
Out of the blue, the child will get pains, especially in the wrists. And this happens commonly when children are starting to walk.
Was brought to you by
I'll call you every day, yeah, yo, baby, don't know.
You can now get all the Chibuzi out with MTN voice bundles. Call all networks. Kubei Dondoro. Buy a 25-minute voice bundle for only 1,000. Or buy any daily voice bundle of your choice. Dial *100 *21 hash and select daily or use the My MTN app. When we talk together, we are unstoppable.
brought to you by Uniquely Ours. Explore Uganda.
Okay, where I'm standing, I get to see the 3 flags.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know what the other 2 do identify besides the one of Uganda.
Yes.
Yes, maybe if you can tell us about the maroon flag and the blue flag.
Yeah, the one which has the royal blue stripes, that's for the Kingdom of Buganda. It represents the area where the kingdom is seated. Buganda is one of the interlacustrine kingdoms which are occupying the Great Lakes area. People are more based in agriculture and farming as the economic activities. The cream color represents transparency. Then the shield and the 2 spears, that is security and defense. The lion at the bottom is the king. Then the maroon one, that's the royal flag. It is always raised where the king is. Yeah, so when he leaves this place actually in the evening, it is brought down. When he's coming in the morning, it is raised up again. Yeah.
Okay, and then what is with the straight line that goes all the way, right from the, does it start at the entrance of the palace itself?
Yeah.
Yes. What is the story attached to the straight line?
This is called the Royal Mile for the Kingdom of Buganda. We have this, the same like this, if you go to Scotland, Edinburgh, there is a Royal Mile of King George V. So the kings, whenever they traveled and maybe liked something, they made sure that they bring what exactly they've seen and they brought it back home. So this side it's the palace, then across it's the parliament for the Kingdom of Buganda. So it's exactly 1 mile from the entrance of the palace to the entrance of the parliament. 1 mile is approximately 1.6 kilometers. And this royal mile is for the Kingdom of Buganda it was, in Uganda, we call it Kabaka Njagala Road. That's what the commoners know. Kabaka Njagala means the king loves me. This was got during the reign of Kabaka Daudi Chwa. Whenever he used to ride his bike to the church, the Mirembe Cathedral, for morning prayers, many Baganda men, it is alleged that they assembled themselves on the road, at least to say hi to their beloved king. When he stopped and he greeted some of them, many went back home proud that the king loves me. Kabaka Njagala. That's why even the road itself derives its name from. This road, on it you can find the sculptures of the totems in the either sides. Animals, plants, insects, birds. It has two roundabouts. There is one here. The king is the only one allowed to go straight in the middle of the road. Another one, it is in the middle of the road like a splitted drum. It's called Nantawetwa. That's why the king gets the name Lukoma Nantawetwa. He's the only one who goes straight in the middle. It's a sign of respect and somehow symbolic that when the king is speaking or making any decision, the king is always straightforward. Kings do not beat around the bush. For us, we have an opportunity maybe to meander around, but the king doesn't do that. Yeah.
Brought to you by Uniquely Ours. Explore Uganda.
Good morning once again, and a very good morning to those of you who are just joining us. You are watching UBC, and we do come to you live every single day, Monday to Friday, yes, from Nile Avenue here in Kampala, where our headquarters are located. It's still a cloudy and gloomy morning since it is still raining, but regardless, we have to let you know of the business news and updates as they come in all over the world and nationally. But the Business Tenders Index in Uganda rose to 58.7 in February 2026 from an upwardly revised 55.6 in the previous month. And this marked the highest reading since September 2025. What does it imply? Optimism and an expanding economy. And for those of you, our viewers, who may not understand the BTI, it measures the level of optimism that executives executives have about current and expected outlook for production, order levels, employment, prices, and access to credit. Welcome back from Tourism Express that is proudly brought to you by the Uganda Tourism Board. It is now time for our financial intelligence, beginning off with India, as the Indian community in Uganda has joined the rest of the world in celebrating Holi, the festival of colors marked by joy, unity, and vibrant displays of powdered paint. The celebrations in Kampala were filled with music, dance, and laughter as families and friends gathered to smear each other with bright colors, a symbolic gesture representing love, renewal, and the triumph of good over evil. This year's event took place at Lugogo, drawing hundreds of revealers from across the city and beyond. Plascon Uganda was one of the main sponsors, adding color to the festivities, both literally and figuratively. Now, organizers say Holi continues to grow in popularity in Uganda, attracting people from different cultural backgrounds who come together to celebrate diversity and harmony. But for many, the festival is not just about color, but it is about strengthening community bonds and embracing shared humanity. Let's have a look at this festival.
The victory or good or evil, and one of the way of showcasing is just putting color on everyone, so you are like everybody's multicolor, one color basically. So you know, no matter what culture you are from, you get yourself colored in multicolors, and that's how you come across as one person, one unity. Plascon has always believed in uplifting culture, and this is a very important festival for us. It's a festival of color. It basically signifies the victory of good over evil, and that's what we want to do. We want to promote good in this world. We want to promote peace, unity. We want to promote culture, and Plascon is always pro these things.
Their intention is all about public, the human, the public, and the happiness is all about the normal life and the normal enjoyment, and they are one of the best in this. So I really appreciate Rajasthani Association to give this opportunity to Plascon to support, and at the same time they support the public.
So this Holi festival is only for the friendship and togetherness, and also this Holi festival, when we organize, the whatever sponsors us, whatever remain, we are giving in the charity.
Event is a victory of truth over evil. Also in India, the winter stops and spring starts, so it's the festival of harvest. Also, it's the festival of unity and social harmony.
Interesting scenes out there. Moving on to our trade review. Uganda has reaffirmed its commitment to export-led growth, highlighting record-breaking export earnings and renewed policy reforms aimed at accelerating the country's journey toward a $500 billion economy by 2040. Now, this was revealed by Minister of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives, Francis Mwebesa, at the 2026 National Trade Review Conference. Let's have a look at these remarks.
Marking the National Trade Review Conference is intended to generate actionable trade policy recommendations that accelerate Uganda's tenfold growth ambition. Trade Minister Francis Mwebesa announced that Uganda's total exports surged to $13.4 billion in 2025, up from $5 billion in 2020, marking a more than 160% increase over the 5 years.
The export growth in 2025 was driven by gold, which reached USA $6.4 billion, while coffee exports amounted to $2.2 billion, consolidating Uganda's position as Africa's leading coffee exporter. Together with these achievements, demonstrate Uganda's steady transition towards export diversification, increased value addition, and a more resilient, broad-based export sector.
Minister of State for Trade, General Wilson Mbasumbadi, noted progress in industrial expansion, strengthened standards and deeper regional trade diplomacy within the East African Community and COMESA blocks.
Uganda's trade and industrial landscape has advanced significantly, positioning the country firmly on the path towards structural transformation and long-term prosperity. Uganda has registered historic export growth to over $13.4 billion, although trade has a trade deficit.
Development partners, including Trademark Africa and the United Kingdom government, highlighted investments in digital trade systems and centralized standards.
So the Middle East is again a sad story. It's something that has hit us. It was not predicted. We already see several flights are gone. What does this mean for us as Uganda and for Africa? We need to be able to strengthen the regional value chains. Okay, we're saying instead of taking again these products from elsewhere, how about we get them from other African countries?
But the outside world laugh at us Africans. How can you be producing like this and you are choked with the taxes? How can you be adding value to these fruits and you are not assisted by the government?
Under the tenfold growth strategy, government aims to increase manufacturing value-added products to 20% of GDP by 2030 and double industrial capacity utilization. Mary Namkose, UBC News.
About achieving milestones, Uganda Registration Services Bureau attained the ISO certificate, which recognizes the company's high-level standards to the international level. The achievement is expected to improve the recognition of the organization across borders. Here's the report.
Means that URSB is
by listing the Uganda Registration Services Bureau on the International Organization for Standardization guarantees efficiency, quality and customer satisfaction.
It means that URSB is governed by systems, standards and accountability. And to our clients out there and our partners that have made time to come, we promise predictability, enhanced predictability, because there's already predictability. We promise enhanced transparency. We promise enhanced trust.
The company is to leverage on the international recognition to fulfill its mandate of ensuring registering qualified companies in Uganda with relevant documentation.
What is the aim of this? To simplify our processes and position Uganda as the best destination for ease of doing business. This is our goal. If I'm an investor, I want to invest in Uganda, of course you have to make a company. I ask myself, how long does it take me to have a company registered in Uganda?
I believe that ISO certification is about building strong, predictable, and accountable systems that place the citizen at the center of service delivery. It demands clarity of processes, defined responsibilities, performance measurement, risk management, and continuous improvement.
The standardization body has to work towards institutional excellence and enhanced service provision to maintain the ISO standards.
As we take on this quality certification, we all understand that quality is not just a mere act. It is a system. But it's also not a system. It is a system run by the people.
With this achievement, the Uganda Registration Services Bureau enhanced the recognition of Ugandan companies to regional level and beyond. Komagum Rogers for UBC.
The RG, the chief guest and the board.
Thorough remarks out there, and congratulations to URSB. Now, moving on with our investment report, the government of Uganda has received investors with the capacity to set up a solar energy plant at Namamve Industrial Park to produce over 350 megawatts of power. The managers of Eco Energy Africa from Sweden met the Prime Minister of Uganda, Robina Nabanja, to discuss possibilities of establishing a solar energy plant at Namamve Industrial Park. Let's have a look at the report.
Currently, Uganda generates 2,500 megawatts of power, more than it consumes from its hydropower, but it's projected that this will not be sufficient enough to sustain the growing demand from the industrialists. This is the reason why Uganda wants to take advantage of her potential to tap into renewable energy and add more power on the national grid. This morning, the Prime Minister of Uganda, Robina Nabanja, hosted a Swedish company, Eco Energy Africa, that is interested in setting up a solar energy plant at Namamve Industrial Park to produce 350 megawatts of power.
We're seeking land allocation approval for the Namamve Industrial Park next to us so that we can implement the solar and battery. We're going to present the Namamve 350 megawatt PV plus battery project.
Our interest to look on your challenges when it comes to grid stability and also to help you to cut your losses in the grid.
Accompanied by the State Minister in charge of investments, Ivrina Nite, the company is seeking to be allocated land at Namamve to establish the plant, the first of its kind in Uganda. However, the Prime Minister is concerned about the cost at which the company intends to sell the power to the government.
And the energy must be cheap. We are currently selling our energy at a cost of 5 US cents because Kenya is selling their kilowatt at 5. Tanzania is at 4.8. Ethiopia is at 4. And so we see that that is tilting the investment from our country to those areas where there is cheap power. So in order for us to be competitive, we need, before we even do anything, we need to know the cost of your power you are going to add on our grid.
We would not be comfortable to conflict with our target. You just heard the Right Honourable Prime Minister telling you our target is to give it at 5 cents. And we have already set and communicated this to the industrialists.
The Prime Minister informed his guests that Uganda is the safest country in Africa to invest in.
We are peaceful with the help of our president. Uganda is the best investment destination currently in Africa. Why? We have a highly educated population at 80%. There are few countries with this population, young. 70% of our population is still young. And so we are also welcoming because we are going to help our people get employment.
Meanwhile, the Prime Minister today held an interministerial meeting to discuss the progress on several infrastructure projects. The Premier expressed concern over the slow pace at which the projects are being done. She wants to resume routine supervision of the projects, especially those under Kampala Capital City Authority.
So after this meeting, I want us to take off on Friday from morning up to tutambule with your contractors. Chicheti balemeseza kati ngulu obwebungu obwenakolabire okutuuka wali ku Nansana Junction on the bridge. Why is it that they are not completing that way? Contractor kutuuka kutuuka. Obama Masi. Because always leave what is for.
Thank you so much. We look forward to the positive results of those investments. And in regards to health expenditure, there is a significant move that could ease the long-term economic burden of untreated childhood disabilities. The Uganda Ministry of Health has rolled out a nationwide program to screen newborn babies for developmental disorders immediately after birth. A strategy aimed at enabling early diagnosis, reducing treatment costs, and improving productivity in the future workforce. Let's take a look.
The Permanent Secretary at the Ministry of Health, Diana Atwine, revealed that the initiative has already begun in Mubende district as part of government efforts to strengthen early detection and reduce the financial strain families face when disabilities are discovered late. The remarks were delivered in the message presented by Assistant Commissioner for Disability and Rehabilitation, Moses Mwanga, during a medical outreach organized by the Rotary Club of Kololo.
We already set standards and policies, and implementation is also something. There's a framework which we have benchmarked, we have piloted in the 6 districts of Mubende to look at how best can we have early childhood screening and the diagnosis, then referral. And now this is going to be scaled in all other districts of Uganda. This is a program which was supported by UNICEF, but now we are taking up.
The health camp held at the premises of Hear His Voice in Tinda offered specialized treatment to people with hearing challenges, including ear examinations and medical consultations. Health experts say early screening and treatment can significantly reduce the high costs of specialized care, which in many cases forces families to seek expensive treatment abroad. Officials also used the platform to urge expectant mothers to attend antenatal services and follow medical guidance. Organizers say Uganda still faces a shortage of specialists who can manage hearing complications, making early intervention critical to lowering treatment costs and improving access to care.
Makerere University College of Health Sciences, we have partnered with them in providing some of the equipment and making sure that we build capacity for our people to be able to diagnose people that are living with health challenges. And specifically in Makerere, we built there what we call sound booth. Sound booth is what they use to test to know whether somebody is able to reasonably hear or not. We also built for them what we call a temple bone lab.
Ambantu Machawe Semambo for UBC.
Now, the dollar index has risen toward 99 this morning, finding support after coming under pressure in the previous session as investors continue to track developments in the US-Iran conflict. Let's have a look at what your money is holding up against the other currencies, beginning off with the US dollar. As of 4th March 2026 by Bank of Uganda, it bought at 3,714.09 and is selling at 3,724.09. By midday, the dollar was buying at 3,691.82 and sold at 3,701.82. By close of business, the dollar was buying at 3,683.32 and sold at 3,693.32. Whereas the Great British Pound is buying at 4,923.86 and selling at 4,938.71. The euro is buying at 4,287.75 and selling at 4,301.13. The Kenyan shilling is buying at 28.50 and selling at 28.62, whereas the Tanzanian shilling there is buying at 1.42 and selling at 1.45. The South African rand finally is buying at 225.80 and selling at 226.18. Thank you for accompanying us this morning with Good Morning Uganda Business. Coming up is the agenda with Julie. They are going to discuss females in male-dominated areas of fields. My name is Joan N. Murungi. Good morning.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda. Pick of the day on UBC.
He expected me to die like within the first 2 years. Out of the blue, the child will get pains, especially in the wrists. And this happens commonly when children are starting to walk.
Was brought to you by
I'll call you every day, yeah, yo, baby, dondolo.
You can now get all the Chibuzi out with MTN voice bundles. Call all networks, Kubei Dondoro. Buy a 25-minute voice bundle for only 1,000 or buy any daily voice bundle of your choice. Dial *100 *21# and select daily or use the My MTN app. When we talk together, we are unstoppable.
Exercise can't be sustained. Eating can't be stopped. It's even harder to lose weight. Come and give it a try. Genshikang L-carnitine chromium capsules, plant extract, scientific ratio, take 3 capsules each time. The active ingredient accelerates fat burning, eat twice a day. Don't take a detour. Weight loss starts now. Genshikang L-carnitine with chromium capsules helps you stay in shape. Please follow medical advice when taking this product. For more information, visit our website www.hgo.com or call 0800 335555.
My question is, what is the difference between rental tax and income tax? How comes I'm paying both taxes on my own premises? If you want to have a tin, but you are not making any income from your business, you should take on the obligation to continue filing your nil return.
Commissioner General, to invest in taxation, when people understand taxes and they know the importance of taxes and they know the fair assessment of these taxes they're supposed to pay, I think everybody will embrace taxation.
As banning groupage cargo, clearance protects small traders who cannot afford to import full container loads individually and rely on consolidation to remain competitive. Cargo to come in groupage is consolidation, it's legitimate, and we can't ban it. What we have banned, or what we have stopped, is the use of container leaders. Now, Fiona, the good news I have for you is that among the new tax proposals,
now you can get direct answers. Send your tax-related questions via WhatsApp or SMS to 0790-141-887, and the Commissioner General of URA, John Musinguzi, will personally address them. Tune in to UBC News Tonight every Monday and Wednesday for expert insights and clear explanations. Booza Commissioner.
Juko. Yo. Check the shopping, man. What's your secret?
Haven't you heard of the parish development model PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, it is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a poultry project, and now things are moving.
Juko. I thought I was one of